A very good morning, dear juniors. I am Vibha Keswan, final year student of BMS and treasurer of the Student Council for the year 2020-21. I am sure you are looking forward to the upcoming session of the Student Induction program. This is the final one. 3 Saturdays have gone by, 3 compilations you have viewed, and I am sure you have enjoyed each one of them and were able to internalize the messages that were weaved in it so beautifully thanks to the experience and expertise of our professors and technicians. This session is going to be as exciting to you as the previous ones. To take in what we are offered in terms of academics and extracurricular activities is the need for a strong body and a mind. Do we have it? Can we cultivate it? How much are we aware of ourselves? Answer to these questions will be given here and now. So let's get started.
Sometimes the smallest step you take in the right direction becomes the biggest step in your life. A very good morning to all of you. I'm here today to introduce an amazing individual, dedicated professional and an excellent teacher. Dr. Tina Fernandez has been active in the field of psychology and education for over 35 years now. She has taught, capacitated and upskilled a wide audience ranging from young children to adolescents to adults. She has been a faculty in St. Agnes College, Mangalore, St. Anne's B.Ed College, Secunderabad and St. Francis Degree and PG College, where she has worked as the head of the Department of Psychology. She recently retired and now is a consultant and a psychotherapist at Pause for Perspective, a counseling center. She was a member of the committee constituted by the Telangana State Council of Higher Education and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University to review and revise UG Psychology syllabus. She was a member of the Board of Studies of Psychology in different universities and autonomous colleges. Dr. Tina has done her doctoral research on the topic of stress and hardiness in young adolescents from Mewar University, Rajasthan. She has published over 43 research papers in national and international journals. She is a recipient of grants for several national research projects and also received many teaching awards which recognize her innovating teaching methodology in the field of education and psychology. Dr. Tina has, through the span of her career, been a trainer of trainers, a motivational speaker, a lecturer, an administrator, a counselor and a life coach. She has mentored and guided countless batches of students whose research is contributing to shaping and influencing policy and implementation in the field of social science.
Hello young ladies, it's such a pleasure to be here with you all today. In this moment, you can focus your attention on yourself or on me, on the self or the environment. So what is the self-awareness? It is the awareness, it is being conscious about observing yourself, the conscious knowledge of one's own character, your qualities, your feelings, your knowledge, your value, as well as your level of skill. So internal self-awareness is how clearly I can see myself, my passions, my desires, my motivation, my knowledge, my goals and my aspirations, and how well these fit with your environment and your reactions, which includes your thoughts, your feelings and emotions, and your behavior or maybe your reactions. So self-awareness is the ability to focus on yourself. And what are my actions like in this moment? What am I doing right now? What are my thoughts? What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? What are my emotions right now? Am I mad? Am I sad? Am I glad? Am I feeling bad? Am I frightened? Am I anxious? So these are the different ways you can tune into yourself and find out what's happening in this moment, and all this put together, whether it is supporting you to reach your goals, your values, is all about this journey of self-awareness. Ideally, if you are highly self-aware, you can objectively evaluate yourself, manage your emotions, align your behavior with your values, and understand correctly how others perceive you. So, constantly tuning inside, checking within what matters to you, what are your strengths, what are your limits, what went well today, what could have gone well today, what could have gone better, what actions can I take now to make it slightly better. Because ideally it's so difficult to be the ideal person we want to be the perfect person, and I'll talk about that a little later. So this is self-awareness, is the ability to manage yourself. Self-awareness has an external component. External self-awareness is the ability to clearly see how other people view you. Self-awareness gives us the confidence to know where we are. It is a critical step along the path of self-knowing and self-improvement. We now go on to the next slide, where we talk about self-awareness of two types: internal, external, self, social. On the other side of the quadrant, you have recognition and you have regulation. Recognition is all about acknowledging what is happening, identifying what's happening right now, as well as regulation is all about managing. So when recognition of self starts and begins, we have entered the journey of self-awareness, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. But when there is recognition of social dimension, social environment, there it is observation and looking at other people. So there comes empathy. Am I listening properly? Am I understanding what she's saying? And there comes awareness in a classroom, awareness at home, awareness in the organization. Or do I have the ability to volunteer, to do some service and support the social environment? So when there is regulation and the dimension of self, there you have self-control, self-management, transparency, adaptability. What is your achievement? What do you want to achieve? What are you striving for? Am I taking the initiatives? So this is something when we go into the dimension of self-management. But today I'm not talking that much into self-dimension. But when you consider regulation and social environment, we have something called relationships. All relationships are so complicated, and at that moment, sometimes we need people to influence one another. And when you are playing a very influential role, you can start thinking about, am I inspirational? Am I helping people to develop? Am I a change catalyst? Am I bringing in change? Am I good at conflict management? How do I handle conflicts? Am I good at building bonds? Or am I good at cooperating and doing some teamwork? We then go on to talk about self-regulation, and self-regulation is all about our ability to manage emotions, desires and behavior in order to reach a positive outcome. Now, what is this social awareness? Always remember, when I have to be little aware, when I go beyond myself, I need to practice observing, practice listening. And sometimes it is necessary to know how people see you. It is also necessary to know how open I am to feedback. Do I feel criticized? Do I take it extremely personally? But sometimes feedback is necessary for self-awareness, because feedback becomes a stepping stone to be whom I want to be, where I want to go. So sometimes it's necessary for us to take feedback from our friends, our nearest and dearest, or even sometimes a stranger. but hold it with gentleness, the feedback that you get. Now, the next important thing we need to talk about in self-awareness is emotional awareness. What is this emotional awareness? I should know, how do I deal? How do I react? What are my reactions like? How do I respond? How do I behave? Do I behave appropriately or inappropriately? Am I having healthy behaviors or unhealthy behaviors? Do I know when my buttons are pushed? Because sometimes some of us get so angry and I'm not even aware I'm angry. So this is all about emotional awareness. So am I defensive when someone gives me a feedback? Because many people love to give us feedback. Sometimes feedback can be so hurting. And how do I deal with that hurt? All this comes under the broad heading of emotional awareness. But it's necessary to have accurate self-assessment. Now, what is that? How do I assess myself? Okay, I can take some psychometric tests, but sometimes it's as simple as taking a paper and writing on the left side, what are my strengths? And on the right side, what are my weaknesses? What are my areas of development? There is scope of improvement for all of us, even for me right now. And sometimes when I feel like an imposter syndrome, I need to consider, what is it that I'm not exactly experiencing? What is this? Why do I feel this way? What am I capable of? Which leads us to the next dimension of self-awareness, and that is self-confidence. Self-confidence is all about how much can I trust myself? Am I sure of my strengths? Do I realize I'm unique? Have I started accepting myself? Have I accepted my strengths and my weaknesses? So this is all about the three components of self-awareness. We now go on to what is this mental health. I wish I was in the classroom and I could have asked you, what is mental health? What are the stories about mental health? Do you always think about, I must be calm, cool, relaxed, centered? Or how functioning am I? Am I coping well? Or do I talk about, I should connect with people all the time. I should be very good. I should be perfect. I should be physically active. And I should learn skills all the time, especially now during pandemics. Learn skills, sit in front of the computer. I must have well-being all the time. Is that what is mental health? What are the ideas of mental health you have? Do you think that you should be productive all the time? You have to have a routine that if you're not doing enough of work, not studying enough, you're not constantly doing your assignments and watching the teachers all the time. Oh my God, oh my God. It's sometimes so disturbing to concentrate on what you want all the time. How do you feel about this? What is this mental health we are talking about? What does science say about mental health? Some of them feel, oh my God, I mustn't talk about my mental health to anybody. Mental health is not good. There's a stigma to mental health. How can I tell people I'm sad all the time? I don't even want to get up in the morning. You shouldn't worry. You should divert your mood. You should divert your mind. Stop it all the time. Stop thinking all the time. You should be okay all the time, perfect all the time. So science also, when you look into Google, you will find that there are disorders galore. Do you need to label yourself? So we need to sit with ourselves. What are the ideas around mental health? What is science talking about mental health? WHO talks about health. How does it define health? It defines health as a complete state of physical, social, and mental well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So please remember, health includes physical, social, as well as mental well-being. So what is this mental well-being? It is a state of feeling good in which individuals realizes their own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to community. Oh God, pandemic, can't go to class, can't meet friends. Oh my God, is this normal or abnormal? What a stress, I can't meet, I want to go out, or there is no space in the house. What is this normal stress of life? Who defines normality? You need to sit and think about this. What is this productive? If I just sit and have a cup of tea, am I being productive or not? What is productivity for me? What is that I have to be fruitful and contribute all the time? Does that mean work is fruitful all the time? Does daddy do that? Do you do that? Does mama do that? We need to sit and think, what is mental health for me? But there are times in my practice of effective self-regulation, self-management, all of us experience two types of pressures. Some is a good pressure, it pushes me to reach the goal, and it's healthy type of pressure. And your body also reacts, supports you. You sit up for those 10 hours in the night to answer that exam, to submit that assignment. All this is eustress, good pressure. It helps you reaches your goal. But sometimes pressure can be bad. Sometimes things push us internally as well as the world tells. Dad and mom tell you something, the teachers keep telling you something, do your assignments, do your tests, sit and look at me. So all this builds up tension and constrictions of muscles within ourselves. Stress becomes greater when I need to be normal, I need to be productive, I need to be fruitful, I need to fit into the normal. What is normal? And I need to do my very best every moment of the day. And it also means that I must be a super achiever. I must be my ideal self. I must be a striver. So how is stress defined? Stress is the body's reaction to any change in the present moment. The body reacts to these changes in physical, mental, and emotional ways. Now another very related concept that we were going to talk about today is anxiety. When I was told to come and talk to you after a very long time because of this pandemic season, I have not been talking for a long time. And when I was asked to come and talk to you all these thoughts were going on. What if I forget? What if I'm not able to remember? I can't do it. Oh my God, I hope I'm good. Don't. So these were my thoughts. But how did it feel? How did anxiety make its presence felt? My heart started beating, my throat was becoming dry. I felt a constriction of my chest muscles, and sometimes I felt a heaviness in my chest. And there are times that when it becomes too much of anxiety, I have a tendency of even running to the washroom, and then sometimes my face becomes warm, my head becomes heavy, I may have a headache. So this is how anxiety makes its presence felt in our bodies. But what is the clinical aspect of anxiety? Some of us just use these labels saying that I suffer from anxiety. When does it become clinical anxiety? When it is constant for a long period of time. When it is constant anxiety, when there is overshadowing of fear. There's restlessness, you'll be pacing up and down. You can't sit, your legs start moving. There is nervousness, physical symptoms, panic attacks and difficulty sleeping. It is then after a longer period of time, it's become chronic and I'm not able to function well. I'm not able to do my assignments. I'm not able to study. I'm not able to do my day-to-day jobs. And when this continues for a very long period of time, you need to be aware that maybe it is moving into the direction of clinical anxiety. I want you now to sit and think, when does this sneak into your life? Is it only when dad and mom scold you? Or is it when you have finished your assignment, answer your exam, or when a loved one has not spoken to you, or when your friends are not calling you up? When does anxiety sneak into your life? Related to anxiety, there is another concept that we are going to talk about today is depression. How does it make its presence felt? There are times I just don't want to get up from the bed. It's so difficult even to put my left leg out, and I just don't want to get up. Depression is more quieter, and it just doesn't want me. I feel sad and low all the time. I don't want to do anything. I just want to curl up and sleep. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to do my day-to-day activities. But even that, it's okay for a short period of time, and I'll tell you why a little later. What is this clinical depression? Persistent, constant, non-stop sadness, low mood all the time, loss of interest in everything around you, changes in appetite and sleep, low energy, irritability, avoiding social situations, thoughts of self-harm and suicide. I want you to also keep checking in. When do you feel that low? So that you are aware of some of your triggers when depression walks into your life. Now, what is all this about suicide? What are the stories of suicide? You know that we are hearing so many cases where people are attempting suicide. When someone wants to attempt suicide, remember that he or she will not always remain suicidal. While suicidal thoughts may return, they are not permanent, and individuals with previously suicidal thoughts and attempts can go on to live for a very long time. Talking about suicide is not a bad idea at all. People need to know, people need to talk, and it is need to be aware of the pit traps of suicide. Talking openly about suicide can give individuals other options or time to rethink his or her decision, thereby preventing suicide. Suicidal behaviors are not attention seeking, never. It is better not to ignore all these behaviors given the widespread stigma around suicide. Most people who are contemplating suicide do not know who to speak and when to speak. Suicidal behavior is all about deep unhappiness, and it is not a mental disorder. Suicidal behavior indicates deep unhappiness, not necessarily mental disorder. Most suicides don't happen suddenly without warning. The majority of suicides have been preceded by warning signals, whether verbal or behavioral. However, there are some suicides that occur without warning too. Someone who is suicidal is not determined to die. On the contrary, suicidal people are ambivalent about living and dying. They're not too sure. Some of them may act impulsively by drinking poison and die a few days later, even though they would have loved and liked to live on. People who talk about suicide may be reaching out for your help and your support. What are the warning signals and signs and symptoms of suicide? Remember when there is too much of negative view of self, when I'm feeling hopeless, helpless, and extremely sad. There's no hope for the future. I feel alone and I want to isolate myself, or I'm highly aggressive, or I become highly irritable. And then I start collecting some of the poison, or I look around for some lethal means. Sometimes I feel I'm a burden to my family. And there are changes, drastic changes in the mood and behavior. I frequently start talking about death. Sometimes the pain is so much that I need to hurt myself, and that is called self-harm. That is the cutting behaviors one does, and we need to be there for these people. They need your listening, they need your support. And sometimes when I'm engaging in risky behaviors, substance abuse, giving my things away, making funeral arrangements, these are the warnings, these are the symptoms, these are the times that one needs to be highly alert that one of your friends, your loved one, may be considering, may be attempting suicide. And where do we go? Whom do we go to? Hey, we can go to family, we can go to friends, we can go to our professors, and we can go to significant others. What is very important at every point of time is, what does the world say? What does science say? But what does self say? What do you say? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in this life? What is it you want? What is important for you? What are some of the things I could do? Can I be gentle with myself? Can I just take a break? Can I just be silent? Can I look for help? You know how difficult times are right now. You'll have so many deadlines. So we come to our next question. In the next week, what can I do to take care for my health? Can I eat a little bit healthily? Can I sleep a little longer, have a good night's sleep? Can I start journaling my thoughts, my feelings? But sometimes between classes, can I just sip a cup of warm water, or maybe a cup of tea or a coffee? Sometimes it's so difficult. Even then, can I just take a deep breath? Can I just feel the breath going in and coming out? And sometimes when it is so difficult, what else can I do? I can even just look around. What are the 5 things I can see right now? Can I look at them? What are the sounds I can hear? I'll be talking about grounding a little later. Now, when does one seek help? For that, I'm going to show you the window of tolerance. There are 2 dark lines, and in the center of the 2 dark lines is my window, where I can perform optimally, where I'm aroused in the right manner. I can study well, submit my assignments, I can listen to my teacher, and I'm appropriately responsive, and I'm able to handle the pressures of learning, studying, and living at home. But sometimes when I jump into my anxiety mode, when I become excessively angry for a very long period of time, I'm agitated, restless, I jump out of my window of tolerance into hyper arousal. How does this happen? This happens because we have a nervous system. It can go into the fight, flight, or freeze. So when we go into the fight mode, we become hyper aroused. And because there is so much to be done, so many deadlines, so many people to please, so many things to be done, and I don't have the capacity, I don't have the resources, I can't even think of it right now, I may jump into hyperarousal. But some of us jump into hypoarousal. I become numb, I shut down, I don't take care of myself, and I have poor boundaries. So this is hypoarousal. So when do I seek help? When there is too much of hyperarousal and hypoarousal. That is the time I seek help. Where do I go to? And the next slide will tell you that the helping professionals are the social worker, the therapist, the counseling psychologist, the clinical psychologist, and the psychiatrist. Social worker also has training in mental health. So the social worker can support us with mental health problems. A therapist and a counseling psychologist is a person who has done further studies in psychology, who has finished a master's in psychology and is trained in counseling. The clinical psychologist is further trained to also help you in the diagnosis, assessment, and also does a lot of counseling. Who is the psychiatrist? A psychiatrist is a person who has finished MBBS and then further done his post-graduation in mental health or in learning more about mental disorders. Now, when you go to the therapist, when you go to your counselor, what is very important that you should note? Your counselor, your therapist should be curious about your experience, should be empathetic, should know what are you feeling, literally step inside your shoes, remember your story, guides you gently, respects your limits, recognizes your progress, is ethical, maintains confidentiality, and that's very important, and is very open, non-judgment towards your experience, confronts when necessary, is very supportive and collaborative, gives you agency, helps you to empower yourself, keeps you up with information and research, connects with you, and all in all tries to make you feel very comfortable and helps you to share your pain, your struggle, and all that is hurting you within. Sometimes when life becomes very tough, we need to ground ourselves. We need to feel how our feet feel while touching the ground. We need to ground ourselves. How do we ground ourselves? Because it's so easy to jump into the mind and all its express trains and all its jet planes. So grounding is to come back to your 5 sense organs. Of course, we have 8, but I'll be talking only about the 5 sense organs. So constantly keep checking it. What is it I can see around me? What are the 5 things I can see around me? What are the 4 things that is touching my skin, or I can feel, I can touch? What are those 3 things I can hear? What are the 2 things I can smell? And what is that 1 thing I can taste? So I could take a glass of water and sip and feel the taste of the warm water. This helps you to come back to the present moment. I'm here with you moment by moment. And that is why mindfulness supports us in our journey of self-awareness. I'm so honored to be with you, young ladies. Thank you so much for listening to me. And if you need any help, you can definitely follow us on social media at Pause for Perspective. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Welcome to St. Francis College for Women. I am Mrs. Sri Lakshmi. I am the college counselor. Before I talk about the counseling process or my role as a counselor, I want you all to understand that mental health is as important as physical health. No matter how fit you are physically, if you are unable to manage your emotions, if you are unable to control yourself during challenging situations, you cannot handle or you cannot deal with challenges in your life. As young adults, you will be facing a lot of issues ranging from low self-esteem, body image issues, fears, phobias, anxiety, stress, future-related anxiety, interpersonal issues, etc. So whenever you notice any minute changes in the way you are behaving or in the way you are handling your emotions, feel free to reach out to me. Do not hesitate to take up counseling when you are feeling overwhelmed by challenges in your life. Also, if you notice any changes in behavior in your friends, feel free to refer them to me for counseling process. Let us all normalize counseling. Counseling should be as normal as going to a doctor when you have a stomachache or a headache. And also, college has been providing counseling services since many years. Therefore, I want you all to make use of the services that the college is providing and reach out to me if you need any help. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Madhurima Kalluri, the General Secretary, PG, from the Student Council. I hope everybody is enjoying this student induction program organized for you all and have learned many different things about the campus. Apart from the teachers and the mentors, we also have the Dean of Affairs to help and guide the students in many aspects. It is my pleasure to introduce the Deans of the Student Affairs to you all. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Surekha Chavan, the HOD of the Hindi Department, Dean of Student Affairs for the Faculty of the Arts. Ms. Lata Ji, the Department of the Commerce, Dean of Student Affairs for the Faculty of the Commerce and the Management. Ms. Ramanjana, the Department of the Mathematics, Dean of Student Affairs for the Faculty of Sciences. Lastly, Mr. Clement Babu, the Department of the Mass Communication, the Dean of Student Affairs for the PG. Thank you.
I, Shalini William, consider it a great privilege to propose vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty God for guiding us all through the Student Induction Program. On behalf of the Student Induction Program Committee, I would like to thank our Principal, Sister Sandra Hota, and our Vice Principal, Dr. Sister Shirley, correspondent, Sister Alfonsa, and our Dean of Academics, Dr. Mallika Shetty. I would like to thank the speakers of all the 4 sessions, starting with message given by our former principals, Sister Tina Fernandez and Dr. Christine Rebello. I thank Dr. Uma Joseph, Head Department of History, who gave an insight on the history and milestones of the college. Dr. Malleshwari Ma'am, former Head Department of Commerce, spoke about core values. To name a few values: mission, discipline, punctuality of St. Francis College. She also gave guidelines and tips to the students for smooth flow of the college life through few videos. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank Dr. Rita Kakkar ma'am, former Head Department of Chemistry, spoke about coping with the transition, how quickly the methodology of online teaching and latest technology has been adapted in short span of time. She also said, change is the only thing permanent in our lives. I thank Dr. Tina Fernandez, former Head Department of Psychology, who gave a talk on self-awareness. She spoke on how students can assess their strengths and weaknesses. By doing so, they can bring out the uniqueness or the areas which they can excel, and on the other hand, recognize their weaknesses and focus on it to improve themselves into all-rounder. The last speaker for student induction program is a college counselor, Ms. Sri Lakshmi. She spoke about the presence of counseling center which welcomes students to approach them and express themselves without fear. She will be a friend to them rather than a counselor. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank all the student council representatives and faculty who were part of the organizing committee and the team that gave technical assistance. Special thanks to Mr. Ram and Mr. Sridhar from Department of Mass Communication for their tireless efforts to record and stream this program on YouTube. Last but not the least, I thank all the students, faculty and parents who watched this program. Thank you.
With St. Francis as our guide, we have wisdom on our side, and we'll reach the plains of peace through love, and we'll reach the plains of peace through love. Learning brings its own reward, and knowledge is the key. Ideals we shall revere, minds pure and hearts sincere. With St. Francis as our guide, we have wisdom on our side, and we'll reach the plains of peace through love, and we'll reach the plains of peace through love. Each college girl your flag unfurls, the service kindly shown. We shall lead our country's children in a higher quest for truth. With St. Francis as our guide, we have wisdom on our side, and we'll reach the plains of peace through love, and we'll reach the plains of peace through love, and we'll reach the plains of peace through love.